Well, I look a little bit different now, but today I think I'm gonna talk about relationships. I've been in this kind of like deal, sobriety, stuff like that for a while now, and one of the things that is really hard to wrap your head around is dating and relationships. Um, when you're a bit older, like mid 20s, and when you get to a point where you're not like you don't prioritize the fun part of the relationship. You get more into like the companionship is the priority, and that's a really difficult thing. I found that people go through like these phases, and it starts with I want someone to just casually sleep with, and then it kind of evolves from there. And I'm in Asia right now, so kind of the dynamic of relationships is like 1, 2 dates, and then like the third date's like, will you be my girlfriend? Will you be my boyfriend? Whatever. And coming from a Western country is a really odd dynamic at moments because while some do operate, the same, a vast majority don't, and that there's no like timeline on it. But here, there's definitely a pressure for that kind of structure of getting into one. Um, a big problem that I found is when you're in a place like this, where you're recovering from really bad and really difficult times, and that doesn't have to include, substances or alcohol or whatever. It can just be mental health reasons too. It's kind of one of those things that's like, don't ask, don't tell. Um, because even if you're talking the most empathetic person in the world, it can be a really big put off of like, this might be too much for me to handle. And I made the mistake of judging other people for it. Like, oh, you can't handle me, wow, you're a really poor character person or something like that. And after a while, I figured out that you really can't expect other people to put their own health aside for yours, and I think that it's best defined as narcissism and ego, which a lot of times I see as a common theme among people who do suffer from mental health issues, substance issues, whatever it may be, where the idea of both consequence, whether it's in a relationship, friendships, and priorities are completely skewed, right? And until I think to have a safe journey to becoming the best person you can be, you should really dial back on ever getting into one of those, romantically especially, and even an intimate friendship. And I don't necessarily mean like a friends with benefits or a situationship, but even just a really close friend, because you have to really learn how to deal with these things by yourself. It's not always someone else's burden to bear. And people kind of go, like, oh, it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to reach out, and it is, but you can't be doing it every day. You can't wake up in the morning, hey baby, I feel awful. It can't be consistent because people don't want to surround themselves with negative energy. you know I feel positive today, and I find when I feel positive, positivity radiates towards me. It's like a magnet. And when I'm negative, I'm just stuck in this feedback loop of negativity, and it's all people see or really interpret from you. Because believe it or not, while you may not see it, or you may not realize it, other people can read your emotions through your face. They say that it takes no muscles to smile, and it takes a lot to actually frown. And I didn't think it was true until I started smiling, and that's when I realized it is true. And I'm kind of delving into a different topic here, but I'll dial back into relationships. Two things that I think are really valuable that I've learned over the course of the last few months since I uploaded a video is, one, you have to be consistent with one person to turn it into a relationship. You can't be talking to 7 girls or 7 guys at the same time, because you can't keep up. Even if you think you can, you can't. And the other one is you shouldn't even try unless you know there's a chance. Back maybe in the 80s and 70s, you know, you meet a girl maybe at a local church or something like that. Back then, culturally, maybe it would have been okay to kind of pursue the same girl for a while until she finally caved in and went on a date with you. And maybe that date goes horrible and she hates you, or maybe that date goes well and she realizes, oh, this is what I've been missing out. But nowadays, it doesn't fly because we get this immediate gratification through like dating apps where you can meet 20 possible girlfriends slash boyfriends in the span of 5 minutes, you know? And so to find that one dedicated person, you have to know that there's a chance. And you have to be patient and consistent with that person, because if you're not, you're basically just trying to play too many games of blackjack at the same time, right? For an analogy. And no one can keep up with that, right? And I advise you to try it, you know, put out, you know, put on your phone blackjack, open 2 tabs on your laptop, and try and keep up with all 3 and see if you can win even one of the games. And you won't. You know, you may win a hand or 2, but it's not going to be consistent. And it's kind of the same thing with relationships. Is like, yeah, I really like this person, but I don't want to wait the 6 months it may take to get close to this person. You know, I just want to hook up, or I just want a girlfriend now. And if that's your approach to it and your mindset, it's probably not a good idea to even be getting into a relationship at that point as is. If it's just like, my first priority is I want a girlfriend tomorrow, you're probably not ready for it, you know? Relationship, platonic, romantic, if you want it right then and there, that kind of says more about you than it says anything else, you know? It goes to show, like, hey, I need to sit down and learn how to be with myself, learn how to like myself, because once you do, you start to not really worry about the menial things. You know, there are menial things about me facially, you know, personality wise, that I used to really be insecure about. And weirdly enough, and this was in relationships and friendships, I used to hyperfixate on these things in person. You know, I have a bit of a pointy-ish chin, and so I used to kind of sit and always talk like this. And what I realized is if I just don't worry about it at all, people don't notice it. When you do that, it draws attention to it. And it's the same thing across all insecurities at moments, where once you forget about them, you know, whether it's personality or physical, people don't pay attention to it. You know, there's so many other complex thoughts going on that even when I've asked a person about their insecurities and I've thought back to all the times I've spent with them, I never noticed it. But when I'd hyperfixated on myself, I'd sabotage myself, and I wouldn't be paying attention to the moment, you know. So I guess, you know, if you want to take anything away from this, it's enjoy the moment. Learn to be by yourself before being with someone else. Learn to take care of yourself before trying to take care of someone else. And I guess more importantly of all, don't make it someone else's burden to take care of you because you can't do it. That's a doctor's job, not your girlfriend or your spouse or your significant other. Stay safe.